When I watch Washington and look at Washington, and I see the way they fight, like cats and dogs, just fight like nobody's ever fought before. People that have been in the Senate, that are friends of mine for a long time, they said, we've never seen hatred. You know, they used to be friends. They'd argue, and then they'd go out to dinner together, the Republican and the Democrat, and they'd get things done. Now we're like at a stalemate. I think it would be great if somebody got in there that actually could get along with both sides. And I know many of the people that are on the Democratic side, and in some cases they're friends of mine. I get along with them great. And I think it's time for people to sit down, get together, and get this mess that we're in right now solved. So I view that as an asset, not a liability. Yes, ma'am. CNN did a poll recently where Obama and I are statistically tied. If you'd like, I could send it to you. Just call up CNN.
How confident are you that you'll beat Obama?
I think I'd beat Obama. If I look at this economy and how bad it's doing, if I look at this economy, it's doing so poorly, and I think ultimately it's going to be largely about that. You look at what he's doing in Libya, which is a total disaster. Nobody even knows what's going on in Libya. You look at what's happening with gasoline prices, where he said he has no control over prices, which he does if he gets on the phone or gets off his basketball court or whatever he's doing at the time. I mean, he should be focused on OPEC and getting those prices down. That's what he should be focused on. Yes. Well, I would have handled Libya much differently. First of all, I don't know who the rebels are, and I've said it many times. The rebels I hear are controlled by Iran and al-Qaeda. So, you know, we make them sound like they're out of Gone with the Wind. It's wonderful, the beautiful rebels. It's so romantic. Isn't it great? You could end up with worse than Gaddafi, perhaps. So I have a real problem having our great military people lose their lives in Libya, and we don't even know what we're getting into. And I've always said, I'd go for Libya, but I want the oil. You know, in the old days, when you win a war, you win a war. Nowadays, you win a war, we lose lives, we spend billions of dollars, and then we come out and we go back home. And we have all of our wounded to take care of. We have all of the dead soldiers and dead military. And what do we get? Nothing. This is interesting, Libya, because the Arab League, which is Saudi Arabia, and many of the wealthiest nations in the world, told us to go in and take out Gaddafi. Now, if they would have said that to me, I would have said $5 billion right now. You know what? Just for the question, they would have given you all of that money. They would have paid it in 2 seconds. The other question I ask is this. We get no oil from Libya. We get no oil. China, which is taking over the world economically because they're smart, meaning their leaders are much smarter. China, taking over the world, gets a big portion of its oil from Libya. They're Libya's biggest customers. Why isn't China involved? Why are we involved with Libya and China's not involved? And China, by the way, the IMF came out 2 days ago. They said by 2016, China's bigger than we are. And you know why they're bigger? Because they're making our products. If they didn't make our products, they wouldn't be at all bigger.
How do you stop U.S. companies sending jobs to China? What would you do?
It's so easy. China is taking unfair advantage of the United States and other countries by a total manipulation of their currency. If they continue to manipulate their currency, if I'm in office and I decide to run and win, within 1 day, they're going to be told, you keep manipulating your currency, we're going to tax you 25%. Now, that's going to do 2 things. First of all, they'll stop manipulating at the mere thought of it if they believed it. But they don't believe this administration because when the president of China comes to the United States, we hold a state dinner for him in the White House. Now, here's a guy that's been screwing our country for years. They're going to make $300 billion profit. Call it profit. This year, $300 billion, more than that. And we hold a state dinner. And the reason is because they manipulate their currency brilliantly. And by the way, I have no anger at China. If you can get away with it, I mean, if I was from China, I'd be very proud of my leaders. But I'm from this country, and I'm proud of this country, but I'm not proud of our leaders because they're allowing the world to take advantage of us. They are allowing the world to rip us off like never before. And by the way, when you talk about budget deficits, the deficits because our economy, how can our economy ever get good? How can our economy ever be strong, ever, when we have other countries making our product? It can't happen. I watched Ben Bernanke not long ago say, no, unemployment's going to be bad for a long time. You know why? Because India is taking so many jobs through outsourcing. China is making our products, so we don't have. I look at places like Newton, Iowa, where Maytag moved out and they moved into Mexico and devastated the town.